Stop chasing followers. Business owners, you are not alone in feeling like you're going crazy, working so hard and not generating followers online. Honestly, social media has changed, and the proof that it's changed is in this key metric. So if you go on Instagram and you have a business or a creator profile, you'll see how many views on page. That number and that indication for the change in the UI UX tells you that Instagram is focusing more on how many people you're generating to your page than how many followers you have. It is very, very hard to generate followers in the current landscape. Why? Because the algorithm has become more intelligent. So where social media started, it was very, very focused on like generating more followers, because the whole idea is that you were only served content for the people that you were following. That's no longer the case. It's completely changed, and it's now based on interest media and not social media. And the whole concept on interest media is that whatever you've shown an interest in is how your algorithm will be tailored. So you will be served the content that you're the most interested in, basically. And the reason why that's really relevant is a lot of people will be served your content but may not feel the need to follow you, or don't even realize that they're not following you, because the algorithm serves so much of your content. So it's no longer about how many followers you have. It's about how many people, how many eyeballs you're generating on your page and on your content overall. So that shift is really hard for business owners, especially for people who've been in business for a long time, because you would have seen a growth period, or you expect a certain level of growth. And if you're paying for a marketing agency to do your content, it's really frustrating because you're looking for some level of metric to show that it's working. And honestly, socials have changed, and it depends where your business is at. There's kind of two approaches to socials that you need to know about. So the first is like bare minimum table stakes. So the problem in socials is that comparison is the thief of happiness. Businesses are trying to compete or compare to other businesses that have way more resources or have been doing this way longer, that their expectation of what success looks like seems so unachievable that they just give up and they don't do anything, or they resort to like hiring an agency and the content that they're putting out is like junk and they can't or they won't scale. And the core premise of socials from a first order of thinking is that it's become really your website. Like, more people will go on an Instagram page and check you out like before they go to your website. Your website is actually like seriously bottom of the funnel. It's like one of the last places they're going to like make a conversion. They're gonna get a vibe check by going on my Instagram. And it's the same thing when you think about like restaurants you wanna go to, or if you're going on vacation. You go to the Instagram page first because you get a better vibe check. You get like the who, what, where, why, and how answered. And you don't follow the account. You don't even necessarily like the content, but you decide whether or not you're gonna go to that restaurant and support that business based on their socials. So like that's the first order of thinking that you need to be thinking, is like, are you answering the who, what, where, why, and how of your business? Like, there's a huge opportunity cost to the business you're losing if every post is just like a sale graphic or a sale post or like a testimonial. If you're not going through that like that story arc of what people are looking for when they're trying to make a buying decision, you're not gonna win. So that's kind of the first stage and the first date, and that's why like followers really don't matter, is you just want to make sure that the business that you're generating organically is converting and not walking away from you because you're basically like solving the aim of why they're looking on socials in the first place. Before I move on, I recently got married, and when I was getting my makeup done, actually like right here in the house, I was asking the makeup artist, because I recently moved, and I was like, hey, where do you get facials in this area? Like, I was kind of doing like a service like lowdown. And she told me all the names of these businesses, and she's like, you know what, I'll send them to you later on Instagram. I'm like, perfect. And I followed up with her, a few weeks later, and she shared me their Instagram pages through DM. Like, that's how we now refer businesses. And she's like well into her 40s. She is like not super technologically advanced, but that's the easiest way for her to recommend me a business that she trusts. So think about all of the businesses that were forwarded to me. If I'm looking for like a clean, a safe, a reputable like clinic or spa, like, is your business proverbially answering those questions? Like, that's the first order of thinking. The second order of thinking is like, once you have that nailed and you're like, okay, I've got that, I'm doing that solidly, then you want to start looking for growth. And if you want to be growing like numbers of followers per day, like right now we're growing at a rate of about 1,000 followers every 2 days on Instagram. And What you have to realize is the value equation of how much I'm giving to how much I'm selling is like 90% to 10%. Like every single piece of content gives so much value to the person that's consuming the content that I'm not even selling to them. So the reason why I'm growing is because all of the resources I'm putting into the content is not focused on the sale. So it's very hard for most businesses to do that because one, they don't own a marketing agency. Like, by the way, the entire team that works on my team is like the full-time team at the agency. So if you hired the agency, you'd be getting the same team that works on my socials. Most business owners don't have that luxury. And for that reason, it's very hard to invest in like value-driven content. Like that's the kind of second and third order of thinking is if you actually really want to grow, you have to give away so much value and it's such a massive time cost. And business owners want the outcome without doing the investment in what it takes to like really generate followers. And the follower piece is actually really an ego piece because when you like the way that socials used to be, the followers validated how good you are. But the problem is if you're not obsessively focused, like 1 to 2 posts per day of like giving it all away, you're not going to grow. But you also don't have to grow. That's why the metric on Instagram has changed because Instagram isn't really caring about how many followers you have. Like you're not being penalized by that anymore. It's how entertaining or engaging your content is. So the whole framework that you want to think about when you're creating content is, what is the so what to this piece of content? Like there is 46 million pieces of content posted every single day on social media. If you are not thinking in terms of value driven, of like educating or entertaining, like actually giving people a reason to stop and consume the content, your page isn't going to grow and you're not going to get that growth metric. And you're not going to get that, especially if you're outsourcing it like entirely to a team and like not being involved and not being a part of your brand. If I still have you here and you're like looking for more before I continue, I do have an entire social media masterclass that like really breaks down all of my secrets and framework that brings you through this entire process so that you can understand the fundamentals, the foundation, the table stake content, and then you can build on top of it from there. And that will be linked below if you want to check that out. But the core premise to this is, like, if you really want to grow, you actually have to be like hyper focused on value. And that's the difference between branding and marketing, right? Branding is a long term, it's a journey. It's not a destination. It's not a sale. It's the way that people think about you. It's the kinds of, it's when someone says, the internet's favorite branding expert, they say Camille Moore. Like, what is that worth to my position? That is worth to me everything. Like, that is my livelihood, but that's not measurable. That doesn't result in a sale. Like, I have to show up every single day and give you a promise. A big thing I talk about a lot is like kind of the promise of my brand. I see myself as a TV show, like the Camille TV show. If you go to my page, you know exactly what to expect. You're gonna learn about brand case studies. You're always gonna have a lesson that connects to your business, and you're gonna improve your knowledge and approach to branding and marketing. As long as I maintain that promise, I maintain my brand status, and that continues to compound because it connects with more and more people over the longer the term I do that. Marketing is bottom of the funnel. It's advertising. It's focused on a sale. So your marketing is not branding because marketing is like a quick fix. It's a quick hit. It's like Google Ads, right? You're looking for something that is going to generate an instant sale. And branding and marketing have conflict because a lot of brands that do SEO, that do Google AdWords, they get into this almost abusive relationship where they can't leave, but they also don't want to stay. Like, their business is so dependent on AdWords and they don't invest in a brand that they're perpetually stuck in this space where they have to pay to generate these leads to keep their business going. And they can't afford to diversify or split their income and like how they want to spend it on this stuff because they have no more money to spend. And that's this complicated paradox because in order to really like to have a lasting brand, you have to invest and allow it to compound over the time it takes. And that's really the core thing when it comes to like why, goodbye money. That's really the core thing that you have to think about when it comes to like, what are you looking to get out of socials and why? And if you're looking for only that growth metric for increasing number of followers, why do you want to have more followers? And are you doing what it takes to grow your followers on your page? And for many of you, you're not going to want to show up and give away the farm every single day. And that's okay. You don't need to. That's why the metric that you want to think about and work on is creating content that's that provides those table stakes, those answers, and then you can diversify with different strategies. Maybe it's running some ads, right? Running ads is a great way to generate awareness. So it's no longer about followers alone. It's about understanding the entire psychology of social media. Think about your own behavior online. Like, you're not actively following 30 accounts per week, unless you're like launching a new brand and you're like super hungry to study people. But in most instances, you don't really follow many people. And that's true for everybody. Measure what matters, figure out what matters to your brand. I break this all down in the social media masterclass. Like, what is your goals? And then what connects with those larger goals? Because it's no longer follower count alone. I hope you enjoyed this video. I love to help businesses at all scales, sizes, and stages. If you have any questions, please leave them below. Otherwise, I would love if you subscribed and shared this account, because as I told you, I show up every day to give away the farm because I want to be the best in branding and I want to help your business so that one day we can work together.